Good evening and welcome to Business Today. This is the program where we discuss about business, entrepreneurship and much more. Now, as you know, if you've been an avid follower of the program, we talk about insightful topics with high-profile individuals. And today is like no other. We have with us a special guest, and to make sure that you don't miss anything, keep tuning in. This is Business Today. When you follow the corporate world, you would have heard of top companies, and when you hear the name Expolanka, that name does ring a bell. And today we have with us the founder and the main person who is responsible for the success of this company. Let's take a look at today's individual. Hanif Yusoof is the founder, executive director and the chief executive officer of Expolanka Holdings PLC. A product of Royal College, a prestigious college in Colombo, Hanif commenced his professional career at Expolanka. In 1982, Hanif established Expolanka Freight in Sri Lanka. He was instrumental in transforming the freight forwarding industry in Sri Lanka. Today, he is considered the godfather of the industry for developing the first generation of logistics professionals in the country. After setting up strong operations in Sri Lanka, catering to the growing apparel industry, Hanif shifted his attention to other markets and replicated this model, taking Expolanka beyond the shores of the island. He firmly believed in the concept of taking Sri Lanka to the world, and this vision has been achieved today, where over 90% of Expolanka income is generated from outside the shores of the country. Along with the rapid global expansion achieved by the company, Hanif took on the responsibility of establishing a global headquarter in Sri Lanka and became the president of EFL Global. The company was rebranded to further consolidate its brand identity to recognized as a global logistics brand. His mantra has always been, "I grow with my customers," and he adopted a customer-centric approach to the business operations, thereby creating a distinctive operating DNA for the company of being an agile, flexible and dependable global operator. Stepping into the shoes of Group CEO, Hanif was instrumental in successfully transitioning a family-owned business to a public-listed enterprise, raising over $22 million. He then subsequently led the company to attract among the largest foreign investments into Sri Lanka, with the Japanese-based SGH Holdings acquiring a majority share of Expolanka Holdings PLC. Parallel to the process, it was under his leadership the group had divested much of its large portfolio to concentrate on key businesses and create brands that are market leaders in their respective industries. His determination, passion and charisma formed the core nucleus of the rapid expansion of this entity into the global leader it is today. A strong proponent of good governance practices, Hanif was keen to ensure that the organization followed the highest level of corporate standards in reporting and placed emphasis on integrated organization, which focuses not only on profits but also on its environment, society and governance framework at large. He is one of a select group of global leaders who has helped shape an industry taking Sri Lanka to the world and bringing recognition to a truly global Sri Lankan enterprise. Today, Expolanka is present in over 30 countries, servicing leading international retail brands primarily in USA, Europe and Asia, truly epitomizing the concept of a global Sri Lankan enterprise. Apart from his role as the founder, executive director and CEO of Expolanka Group, Hanif has also achieved the following accolades throughout his career, further augmenting his position and profile. Recipient of the Asia Pacific Entrepreneurship Special Achievement Award by Enterprise Asia in 2013. Awarded for Global Commerce Excellence in light of contributions to the Sri Lankan economy by Central Bank of Sri Lanka in 2012. Was honored by the Outstanding Young Persons TOYP Award in 1998 for the outstanding entrepreneurial accomplishment. played an active role in community development and service affairs throughout the participation in service organizations such as Leo Club, JCs and the Lions Club. He was the district president of the Leo Club in 306B and the president of Lions Club of Colombo North. Selecting among top 10 business people of the year by LMD magazine in 2013. Served as the president of the Sri Lanka Logistics and Freight Forwarders Association from 1991 to 1993. Stanford NUS Business School alumni. Featured in LMD's A-list Captains of Business in 2019 and 2020 among the best in Sri Lanka's corporate and professional communities. The latest addition to his accomplishment is the Legend of Logistics Award presented at the National Logistics Award 2022 by Sri Lanka Logistics and Freight Forwarders Association in recognition of the service rendered to the logistics industry of Sri Lanka. With an active interest in community and welfare, he has established various initiatives in both a professional and personal capacity. A strong advocate of social enterprises and entrepreneurship, Hanif has championed several initiatives across the environment, social and governance aspects, including enacting green logistics to offset carbon emissions to revive the planet, entering into a partnership with the Department of Wildlife in planting over 125,000 trees in Bundala National Park in Sri Lanka to increase forest cover. Furthermore, he has engaged in providing critical healthcare equipment to the health sector in Sri Lanka, meeting the requirements in a time of need and national importance. On the entrepreneurial front, he was involved in Venture Engine, a Sri Lankan-based startup funding enterprise, which was instrumental in helping several launch new businesses in Sri Lanka. Being a logistics veteran for over 40 years, he has developed strong business relationships with leading global logistics companies and retail brands. These business partners continue to seek out of his expertise in resolving various supply chain and logistics-related matters. Hanif is an advisor to the regulatory authorities and various professional bodies and a key contributor at business forums providing insights on the industry and economy. We have with us in the studios Mr. Hanif Yusoof. Despite your busy schedule, thank you so much for being with us this evening. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Prashant. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure.
All right. Now, to begin the questionnaire, the first question that I have is, as the backbone of this company, how has your journey been through these 40 years, through challenges? How has this journey been?
Certainly, it seems that I've thrived on challenges. It's been a long journey, you know. When you say 40 years, when I started in 1982, in a very, very small office with a small setup, it was not in my wildest dreams that this would get to where it is now. And the whole core of the DNA of the company was about leadership, creating leadership. So we've gone through the challenges when you start from 82 onwards, the 83 or conflicts, the 88, 89 issues, the geopolitical situations, the civil wars, etc. And all in spite of this whole episode of challenges, we always found that we need an opportunity to learn from challenges. If we were living in a place at that time, I'm talking personally the company, in a place that everything was tickety-boo, perhaps we would have not thought of venturing out, venturing overseas, and today we are about 95% of our entire income comes from our overseas enterprises. But I always want to be the proud Sri Lankan which took a Sri Lankan company global.
All right. Now, we know that you stand by this saying where employees matter. Now, we know usually companies say that customers matter, but you believe that employees matter as well. And how has your Expolanka team been a benefit to your company?
You know, a lot of companies, including mine at certain intervals, have this great mission and vision statement on their walls. And we all know the customer is king, or important customers. I'm not discounting that. But to make the customers happy, to make the customers want to use our services, I'm in a service business. I got to make sure my environment is a joyful environment. The DNA of the company was about, you know, giving authority, not just by titles, giving each employee the authority to make decisions, the authority that they could always reach out and make those calls which are vital to to be done. It's all it needs. It's a commitment by themselves, something they want to do by themselves, knowing for the greater good of the organization. So that empowerment was always given. And I would say that was been a success tool that we had across the company, not only in Sri Lanka, as we went global, that mantra of the employees being given the empowerment to be able to be responsible, listening to the employees, was one of our key areas.
Great. And now something that we discuss a lot nowadays is the COVID-19 pandemic. Now the COVID-19 pandemic has certainly brought down a lot of companies and had a big challenge and an impact for a lot of companies worldwide. How have you been able to tackle the pandemic, and have you faced a lot of challenges because of it?
Yes, I did. I panicked at the beginning. I must say I did that when the COVID hit. Way back when it just initially started, all business went down. There was no business. I mean, it didn't occur to me the supply chain disruptions would be the biggest. But the business itself certainly came to a standstill. The factories were closed, the airports were closed, ports were closed. How does one take some goods from across? So everything came to a standstill. And that time we thought, okay, we have overcome so many challenges as we went through the business. Everybody does that. But this was quite a shocker. But at the same time, the recovery was fast because the supply chain of wanting, equipment like the mask and personal PPE equipment was required. Personal protection equipment was required, and we managed to get a lot of business that time. And I reflect back as to how we did that. And I realized that the fact that we did not plan the pandemic, but we planned the business. We planned the business by securing capacities with the carriers and the airlines. We were there in front of the customers. And giving the agile nature of the business, of giving ownership to the leadership team, we could be approached. And the business really galloped at that time during the pandemic. Some businesses did fall, but the logistics supply chain business really boomed that time.
And another thing that I'm sure of is the employees. When you look at their point of view, they've been facing a lot of hardships as well, and some employees have had to work from home, and they certainly had a lot of pressure on them. How do you think they were able to manage their pressure? Was there any support from the company's side, and how were they able to cope up with it?
Yes. So what we did, work from home came secondary. First was the COVID pandemic itself. The fear, the worry among the employees, staying at home and worried about them getting contracting COVID. We immediately had a business continuity program that came in. We took up some of the best leaderships we had. We made a committee to ourselves. We had a call center. We told every employee to reach us if they get COVID, to reach us if they need anything, to reach us if they need rations, to call us. We took all the other elements of business out, and we only thought that the only thing we could do at this time of crisis was the employees itself. So around the globe, we had this center where people could reach us. So from the moment we knew about COVID, paying attention to them, sending them whatever medicines that were required, putting them into hospitals if they wanted to do that, and all that was taken care of it. That, really brought up the employees' motivation. It was inspiring methods for them, and the inspiring came from the employees themselves. They always reached out to themselves. So once we did that, then the work from home programs came up. When work from home programs come up, what about the laptop plus them? What about the internet connections for them? What about not about monitoring the working hours, whether they come in and go. So we formed a whole committee doing that, and that really worked. And people did were quite inspired. Though they had to stay at home and do things, but we reached out to them and we were in touch. Main thing is to be in touch.
So basically for that time period you forgot about the business standpoint and you actually took a human side and considered the employees' well-being, welfare, and in turn I'm sure it brought you a lot of benefit because the employees felt like they were being taken care of.
Prashant, I'm a bit of a self-made man. I'm not a person who went to a good college, but I don't have the best of educational qualifications. I ran this business out of gut and people. I only knew that if I inspire my people, they would inspire me. So the human factor, I always say there's no toughness in the way we operate our business. There's no shouting about and getting things done. There's no bully of a boss system that we encourage or accept throughout the system. There's no stronger weapon than gentleness and kindness.
That's a great thing to hear, and something that another crisis actually that the country and the world is facing right now is an inflation. There's a high inflation going around, and with that comes the increase in prices when it comes to products, raw materials, and the entire distribution channel has been facing a lot of cost. So how have you been able to tackle, and do you have any strategies for this inflation?
No, the immediate reaction to the whole inflation was to pay allowance for the inflation, to make sure people are able to meet the high cost of living and to be in touch with them. So we did that a couple of times, and to reach out, because these are things that are not their fault, and from what they were used to and from what they have to pay for now is a huge difference. So we are keeping a tab on the people. We are trying to give them the inflationary allowances as far as we can. We have taken into account, but being agile has helped us. Being technology driven has helped us. I must say that. Let's keep that out for that. That really we should. But the main thing is the daily workers. We have got warehouses running where people come daily to work. These are the most affected lot. So we have made sure that even the daily manpower from any agency are considered our own. That we look at them as to what they were taking and what they will take now to meet and keep the fires at home going.
Right, and now the tourism sector in Sri Lanka plays a key role to the contribution to the economy, and you are a big player in the tourism sector as well. And Sri Lanka is in desperate need of tourism right now, and we need the income that we gain from tourism. Like back in the day in 2019, 2018, we had a high number of tourists visiting the country. What do you think about the tourism sector right now? What can we do to improve it?
Yeah, so Prashant, I'm not really big in tourism, though I aspire to be one. I always dreamt to be one. I always had a vision towards it. I became, but in the course of my trying to become tourism, I became the largest travel company in the country for outbound travel. The reason for incoming tourism to be developed is that I could choose between hotel owners, being travel agents and tour operators, or having a unique selling proposition about the country. Our country is unique, everybody knows that. Forget about geography and location, it has a set of lot of things to be sold. Are we marketing to the right audience on this? I don't think so. I've been an advocate of saying that we must go after niche markets, we must go after luxury travel and all that. So I've been building a portfolio of that. I'm still in the process of that, but while in the process of that, the Easter Sunday came in, then the pandemic came in, and then other situations have come up now. So I hope that the dream of towards Sri Lanka becoming what it really deserves to become happens during my lifetime.
Now, Expolanka is a big player in Sri Lanka and a big company, but Expolanka also has roots outside Sri Lanka. It's a global company, and you have an alliance with some countries outside Sri Lanka as well. How have you been able to keep that link, keep that concord with companies which are out of Sri Lanka?
So, one thing that didn't change was the Sri Lankan DNA of people coming first as employees. So we were large companies, we were in various businesses. We were in so much of businesses that we were wondering which one we were in not. But one fine day we took a decision that if we want to be really extract the right value to the shareholders, right value, we should become a superstar in one or two, without trying to do everything else. So from jack of all trades and being master of none, we thought we'd be master of the logistics game. So we focused on that, and that allowed us also saying that the customers whom we were servicing out of Sri Lanka were also buying from other countries. So it was not a question about being in how many countries. It's about the answer I always wanted for my people, and we were, how many global customers are we servicing? So we changed the whole thing. So wherever the global customers wanted servicing and thought they would have experienced the service levels that we give out of this country, we went into those countries. So the model, the mantra of all this was the same, because so many Sri Lankan CEOs in all our other countries, some are locals, some are Sri Lankans. But the whole thing about the magic of creating communications, magic of creating value magic of creating shine in people's lives who work for us, shine in people's lives that do business with us, was the main thing. We chased values, and then the success came in.
Yes, and I was having a small discussion with you before the program as well, and we were talking about a lot of people nowadays when they get into business and when they start a company, their main motive is money. And something that happens to these people is when they chase money, they can't really catch it. But I believe that the best thing that they can do is to follow their dream, and the money will follow. Is that right?
Yeah, first of all, the age that we live in, the millennials age, when they do a business plan. When we did a business plan, it was about survival. My business plan at my age, I must tell you, it was completely different. However tall you are, you can't see tomorrow.
Exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
so my business plans were never, these far-fetched business plans that you normally have a corporate working towards that. So people thought I was simple, practical, yet not the corporate type of guy who gives his mega plans to go on. When I followed the millennials, their plan was different. Before they start the business, they have an exit strategy. For a senior person like me, it can be exit, not exit. It's not a strategy as such.
Yeah.
But here they look at, so everything revolves around making the fastest amount of money that you can, and they've been very successful, far more successful even I have been, some of them. But the question is, how long does it last? Business is also about having fun, joyful, thinking about the whole journey. It's about it's a life, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's a life. So it's about how do you, if you chase values, if you have something that keeps you awake in the night, do it.
So if you would have some advice for the young entrepreneurs and business people who are getting into the corporate world, your advice would be to just have fun with it and chase your dream.
No, chase values. Chase that, in this whole thing is going to add so many people's lives. My project is going to bring in a change, a positive difference to someone. And if it makes a positive difference to someone, it's an item that can be sold. It's not just a marketing tool that you're forced to buy things that you don't want. That's what ad people do, isn't it? That people want to sell things that you don't want, but you convince them to buy it. But the entrepreneurship business is different. It's about adding a positive difference in the business that you do that would create a value for it, which becomes sustainable, and you grow the company and you become a great entrepreneur that you dream to be.
Yes, and now you mentioned that you are looking forward to getting into the tourism industry more,
yeah,
and being an active player. Are there any other industries and sectors that you would like to invest on? And speaking of investing, we know that a lot of people have started investing in the stock market as well. So would you mind telling us what your plans are for your investment procedure, and what your advice would be for people investing in the stock market? What are your future plans?
Yeah, so the stock market, before I touch on stock market, the business that I am in is the travel business. I call it the leisure business. Then I'm in the logistics business, which is the main business of mine. I'm also in the IT business because logistics and travel cannot do anything without information technology. The whole world is about the flow of information is as important as flow of people and flow of cargo. So those are only three issues. I just got out of many businesses I was in. So I'm not going to go and put anything else, because I want all these three businesses have not reached their peak. All these have not reached the mature level. So I would go to consider on these three businesses. For the people who invest on stock market, as you know, I've seen for myself, my stock been down, gone up, gone down, this goes on. That's how the stock market behaves.
Yeah.
But as a CEO of the company, my concentration had value to the shareholders, a real value. So it's not an easy seat I am in. People want performance quarter by quarter. They want to see, they don't believe in long term. They want short term. But as a company leader, I need to find out a company that can be sustainable. And that's what I've driven this company to be sustainable in a long term. A company that is not confined to one market. It is not confined to one single market. It's not confined to one single currency. That's the value we have created. So so people who invest in the stock market got to look at the pedigree of the company, the value of the company, the real multiples of the company, where the business is coming from, whether the business has reached a mature level, as it got expansion models of it. That's what people should look and invest. I have no control anything other than that of doing a job that will give right value to the shareholders, long term, medium term, so on.
All right, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, and thank you so much for being on the show with us today as well. And also a big thank you going out to our viewers for tuning in to Business Today. Do join us next time as well. Have a good night.